They're fine. Everybody, listen.
I'm just trying to figure out what you like.
Everybody deserves love. I like it's all in the phrase of anime though. It's got to be somewhere in there.
Yeah. If I ground it in reality, it's more of a serious conversation.
Yeah. Then it's no fun anymore. All right. Hello, everyone. We're about to talk about video games for who knows how long. Strap in. Buckle up.
Hey.
Are you guys ready? Do I have my water? Yeah, your aguas, your whatever you need. I used my inhaler
I'm good.
before we started because I thought I had this time. All right. It is Saturday, July 11th, 2020, and you are listening to the Irrational Passions Podcast, episode whatever number we're on. And I am Alex O'Neill, your host this evening. And joining me this week, as always, is Mr. Scott Guthier.
Help!
Mr. Tony Horvath.
Hey.
And Mr. Brian Nobishin Jackson.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, boys.
Let me out.
Yeah, Scott, I've had you trapped here for 10 years. What's it like?
It's dark and cold.
I'm scared. Please, someone. Happy 10 years to Irrational Passions Podcast. That happened last
Call
week.
me.
But it's like a whole year anniversary. So for the next year, for the next full 50 episodes, we're just going to be talking about this. Because
You're optimistic.
For the next like 36,
This could end at
36 episodes. We're going to be talking about this every week. This we turned 10. Of course, it happens during the quarantine, so I'm like, I can't see any of my friends or do anything, but it's fine.
It's funny. We still say that, like it could just end next week, but it's been 10 fucking years, so like,
yeah, I don't think so.
Chances are it's not gonna end next week.
Yeah, I have too much fun with this, even if I'm lazy and forget to make things happen the way they're supposed to sometimes. But no, this is thanks everybody. I put out a little thing on Twitter, and people said some very very nice congratulatories to all of us, and I appreciate it. At some point, I would like to do some a celebration of things, but probably when things are a little bit different. And
What we should do.
Yeah. Go on.
But I don't know. Do a stream. Do a stream, and then I don't know, do co-op streams, and I could play a game. You share play the game.
I would like to do that. I just what game would all four of us play together?
I mean, we don't have to all play together. I'm just saying, do it in
Something with
parts.
Luigi in it, I don't know.
Do it for an hour or something.
Yeah.
Bring in the editorial team.
Yeah, we
Get Evan for an hour.
Oh God, we should get Evan. We should get Evan and Joe. Get them all here.
I just spoke to Joe less than a week ago.
I know. I talk to him every now and again. It's not. He just the last I heard, he doesn't have a microphone or podcast set up at all. But
Yeah, the last I spoke to Joe, we were DMing because I happened to be watching the same GTA 5 RP stream that he was watching, and as he subscribed to it, so notification popped up on the streamer screen. I was like, Aces High 291 has subscribed, and I was DM'd him. I was like, "This you, baby?" And he was like, "No fucking way." He was like, "Tony, I fucking love you," and I was like, "Same, bro. I love me too."
yeah, it'd be nice. I think that's along the list of stuff I'd like to do. Get Evan and Joe back on, at least just to see how they're doing, and maybe play some games with you guys and celebrate. But yeah, thanks to everyone who said something at some point. I would like to have some level of a celebration about it, but for now, happy 10 years. Obviously very life-altering podcast, I think, for probably all of us. I don't know about you, Nabashin. You probably just show up and be like, fuck these guys. No, but it's brought us together.
Now we're wasted.
In a really cool way. We've done a lot of cool stuff, and I'm really proud of what this show is. I always tell people it's the best show that nobody listens to, except for 7 really cool people. 7 really cool people listen to this podcast.
True, and they're
the coolest.
They're in the know.
Yeah, they know what's up.
That's why they just don't tell anybody, because they want to be the only ones. It's exclusive.
Exactly, it's a very exclusive club. Nicole Humphrey in the chat, one of those 7 people already representing.
Exactly.
So yeah, thank you everyone that tunes in, that listens, that checks it out, that is still listening, that has listened for many years. Probably there's a few of you out there, and we love you. Even if you're quiet about it, even if you're mum, even if you listen and smile and move on, you're very special to me and all of us. So happy 10 years. Here's to 10 more. Maybe not 10 more. Maybe like 7 more, and then we'll reset. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, here's to more podcasts. You guys want to talk about video games? Video James, my friend James, who's in videos. A couple little bits of housekeeping to kick us off over on irrationalpassions.com, video game website. You know what? Hold on one sec, because Scott, you were very mum throughout that. Scott, how's it feel to know you've been doing this for 10 years?
It kind of doesn't.
It doesn't feel like it, yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel like anything.
Yeah,
That doesn't feel anything.
I feel nothing.
Not anymore.
feel like it.
I have to be in lockdown here for so long.
Yeah, Scott's
All
got.
that's said and it's acceptance.
He's got shackles and a microphone. That's all. It's the only life he knows. And you know, once the chafing takes all the skin off the top layer, yeah, you really don't feel anything anymore. But no, it's cool. Nabishin joined episode 98, and Tony joined episode 43. So I'm gonna give each of you 10-year anniversaries when they come up again. That's how we're gonna make this last really long.
I don't even know how long it was between when you guys started and when I came on the show.
It was a few months.
Less than a year.
Yeah, it was less than a year. You joined, I think, February of the following year, so we've been 8 months in. So you're basically there, Tony.
Basically, bitch status.
I give you
not even 10 years.
I give you founder credit. you were I like to think you were whispering over Scott's shoulder the whole time.
Pretty sure I have more credited episodes than Nabishin or Scott at this point.
No, Scott has the most of all. Scott has more than me.
I think so.
Scott is
No way Scott has more than
Scott has missed less shows than I have. Probably.
I'm not allowed to leave.
Scott is secretly the glue that holds this show together.
Like secretly the CEO.
I didn't know secret about
Yeah,
that.
there is no secret about it. We all know. All of us will always be like, yeah, but Scott said. We'll be like, yeah, but if Scott didn't think it was cool, then fuck all of that. All right, now let's get started. A little bit of housekeeping over on irrationalpassions.com, video game website. A couple of things. A couple episodes of Trip to Nintendo Land happened. Mike Burgess's Nintendo podcast. Sat down with him and Scott White. We made predictions on who the final 5, or presumably final 5, Super Smash Bros. Characters would be. We did a podcast Ultimate reunion podcast, which was really fun. Do you guys have any guesses? Any hopes and dreams for the new Smash characters?
You and Okami.
Luigi, Gino,
yeah. Gino got brought up a lot. Gino,
the ones, Goku, all the people.
Well, I think they tried to put Gino to rest, but I will pick Mallow.
Okay, all right. I think I brought up Mallow as a joke, but I would want them to announce Gino if they would be like, new character here, and then Mallow shows up and they pretend.
At this point, I'd take Booster too.
Oh yeah, Booster's great.
I know he's not a playable character in that game, but I'll take that guy too.
Just some representation of Super Mario RPG. Please.
What about Boshi?
Ooh,
The wall version of Yoshi.
Boshi would be dope. He had the sunglasses and he had the deep voice. Super great.
Did he have a deep voice?
Yeah, when he would talk, you were like, oh. It was really cool. That's how as a kid, that was one of the weird things that sticks out to me. I think I thought Crash Bandicoot would make sense at this point, especially with the new one coming out, and it being multi-platform. And I feel like that would be, for me, I don't really give a shit about the character or the moveset or anything, but I think it would be very representative of having that other PlayStation character. They have Cloud, so maybe they don't need to, but I thought it'd be cool. Gino got brought up a lot. It's just of if you look at the polls and the people that the requested characters, they've done literally all of the requested characters. K. Rool, Simon Belmont, Banjo-Kazooie. They've done them all except for Gino. So it would make sense if maybe he finally showed up. And then one that we brought up a lot was a new Gen 8 Pokemon representative. And the one I want a lot, I'm curious what you guys would think of, like a Pokemon Trainer 2. It was like another set of 3 Pokemon, maybe 3 starters, maybe just 3 totally new Pokemon. But we also talked about Urshifu, who's like the new legendary Pokemon from the Sword or Isle of Armor DLC for Sword and Shield.
Is he bipedal?
He is bipedal.
Or
He's
is
like
it
he's like a
just-
fighting game or fighting type Pokemon. So, but he has like different stances. He has like a light stance and a dark stance, and he has like one's more defensive and one's more offensive. The Sword and Shield. So if you incorporated both of those into Smash, and he had like a stance change, like his down B or something, that could be really cool. But we'll see. You know, it was a really fun to do podcast Ultimate again, to do character pitches and all that. And then the third episode of Trip to Nintendo Land, just like the regular episode, came out. I was not on. That was the first episode I missed. But Cam Hawkins from DualShockers was on there, and Ian Purcell from OK Beast was on there with Mike, and they talked about the Isle of Armor DLC for Pokemon and other Nintendo news. And that's it. That's really all the housekeeping. We got some other stuff coming, but
Distract you for a second.
yeah, what's up?
Give me like as I find it.
You're a little hard to hear it at the moment.
Sorry, I got fan blood on my face.
Oh, you're good.
I think just give me a minute to find it.
Okay. Scott, Tony, how's your week been? We got a minute to burn, so.
Dude, I
boring.
played so much video games.
Yeah, I played a lot too. I told you guys, but and without disclosing where I'm at, but I went back to work in the last couple weeks, and now I'm back to work from home. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I texted that to you guys earlier today. So,
I think I only saw your
yeah,
text about
the
that.
I mean, it's nice that you get to have a work from home position.
yes, it's good that I've just very quickly adapted right back to, that, you know, I have things that I do from home now. So, but yeah, my where I work closed again, so I am, and
So they opened for like a couple days, and then we're like, you know what, fuck it.
they opened for 21 days, and then they were gonna reassess, and then they closed again. But you know,
Did anybody get sick?
I don't know, but it sounds like it.
Or
Unfortunately,
just not in your
How
store?
packed was the store while it was open?
it wasn't packed, but you know, we had a lot of people coming.
Usually is.
A lot of people come in throughout the day, you know.
Yeah.
It's basically like when, you know, opposed to how it was before, where they would just come in and
Packed all the time.
yeah, exactly. They're lined up outside, and like, so if I have an appointment, I just come in and take the person for the appointment. We stay one-on-one, and then I take them out, and then I go get the next person.
Gotcha.
Which is nice, and it definitely takes a lot of that tension off. But like, I was still seeing like 24 people a day, and
Sure.
and then when I would
Yeah.
go on my breaks, and I was in the mall. The mall's packed with people, and it was.
I've been out of work for about 5 days now because someone who I interacted with like a couple weeks ago got the virus. But I didn't interact with them directly. I was just in proximity of like objects that they have interacted with.
Yeah,
So they were just like, "Yo, go get a test," and I haven't got the results back yet.
got it. Hopefully everything's fine. But you guys
So-
know I was really anxious, so this was good news for me overall.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it sounds like people were getting sick, and so we had to close again. What'd you find, Albert?
So this was something I sent like months ago, like almost a year ago to OK Beast. I called it like a Smash Pass or SAS,
Oh,
where it was like Smash, this character is totally going to be in Smash Brothers. Pass, there's no way this character is going to be a Smash Brother. Or SAS, where it's just they're just going to be, you know, it could be costume type of thing.
Oh, got it.
So I had a list, and I just thought,
Or an assist trophy.
Yeah,
The disrespect.
the sheer disrespect. All right,
but
you want to go through
I
it?
already had a list made, so I just thought I'd just read it off again, just see how you guys would fare.
Sure.
But I said Dante for Devil May Cry.
Pass.
Scott,
Pass.
No, I'd say Smash on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, he'd have a pretty good moveset.
He would have a good move spot, I think.
Rayman / Rabbits.
Ooh, yeah.
No rabbits!
You had the rabbits in there, dude. You really.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that.
I'm gonna say Sass, dog. He's getting the me costumed up.
Actually, yeah, I'd like a rabbit costume.
Yeah, I would actually. I'll take that. Thank you.
The Prince from Katamari Damacy.
Oh God, that would be such a good Smash character. I'm gonna say Smash just to keep the dream alive.
He's only good when you have items on the stage.
Yeah, it doesn't even work when there's no items.
Yeah, I don't even know what that guy does. So.
He just rolls a ball, man.
What's he gonna do? Smash?
I don't know.
Roll up the items.
Yeah, the what was it? But the Smash Ball would be like the king just like blowing it up, just like the eye lasers or whatever.
And the planet explodes.
Steve from Minecraft.
Pass.
What's he gonna do?
What is he gonna do? Hit you with a pickaxe?
Punch a fucking tree? Is he gonna spawn a tree and then it'll like punch it and then he gets a.
What does the villager do?
The villager does that already. So.
Well, here's the thing: the villager actually has a small set of actions to pull from. The Minecraft guy kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
Like they're very silly actions that they're pulling from, but a lot of his stuff is placing and breaking.
Yeah.
So I mean, like he could build a dirt house, I guess. But then again, that's probably 2 of I think it's 18 moves.
Yeah, I don't think.
I forget the number, and I don't feel like doing the math right now.
You know, he gets assist trophy. I'll sass him.
Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden.
Smash. It's a possibility, at least.
I smash.
Sass.
That would happen too.
Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Smash! Make it happen!
Absolutely smash.
Pass.
No surprises. 0 surprises. I'm sorry.
Solier from Dark Souls.
I would say Sass Solaire.
Solaire, sorry.
Yes. I got you.
Yeah, because I want the other guy. Hold on.
Who?
What's Onion
Big
Knight
Hat
do?
Logan.
I want no Onion Knight.
The Catalina Knight.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yes,
I want that dude in.
Onion Knight for life. He's in Dark Souls 3 as well, so he's more of a character. Bring him back.
The Doomslayer from Doom.
Pass.
After they put
No,
Vault
dude,
Boy,
smash. Doomslayer's lit.
Doomslayer is lit. I don't like what does he murder? He just murders Mario?
Dude, yeah, he has so many different fucking guns, dude.
Well, that's the whole thing. It'd be another Simon situation. I don't think that'd be a good.
Or like Snake
Pass.
from Metal Gear Solid. There's too many guns.
Well, it's Snake kind of worked because they leaned into his slower play style
Yeah.
very heavily.
Yeah. I don't know how that
With,
works.
with the Doom guy, for him, it's all about how versatile and how fast he is.
Yeah.
So
And
it's like you either have a ton of complainers from people who, and like I would say rightfully so, from him being done quote unquote wrong, or they have to take his numbers way down.
Yeah.
do you think he have to be the fastest character in the game?
He's faster than Sonic. that would be so awesome.
The thing about it is that he would be up there. He would be close to at least Captain Falcon.
Yeah, he would have to be at least Captain Falcon fast. But I would want them to,
And then he'd have a ton of guns, which would be most of his moves. And then he would also probably have that chainsaw.
I would want there to be YouTube video races of like Bunny Hat, Sonic, Doomslayer, and Captain Falcon.
The other
on
thing
Big
is,
Blue,
you
just
don't
sprint.
get to change his speed.
Yeah, he's always at maximum speed.
He's always at the same speed.
He can't slow
that is
down.
canon for the character.
This is so they can have your Doomslayer and Isabel fight or whatever.
Oh, that would actually be all right.
Master Chief from Halo.
Pass. I just don't
Similar
care.
issue.
I just don't care, you know? What would you do, Master Chief?
The Doom guy would be a better fit.
Yeah, I agree. And I
You
don't.
could play just like the Hellgas in PlayStation All Stars Battle
Oh
Royale.
yeah. What was the Hellgas captain's name? Nobody even
I
remembers.
don't know.
It's like Raditz or something.
Let's see. Last one, Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher, because he's in fucking everything.
Smash.
Put him in more.
Yeah, put him in more.
Well, you see, the thing is, he's not actually in everything. And he kind of needs to be.
Yeah.
Smash.
Yeah, he needs to be in Smash.
Mm.
He's got so many. He would have a great Smash skill set. Like his
Right.
down
That's the
special
other
could
thing.
be.
Is he would have a very
Irden.
good Smash kit.
Yeah, he did all the hand signs and spells like would be super good for specials, and his swords and stuff. When he fights Pokemon, he uses his silver sword. That is like a thing that Sakurai would say in a presentation too. It's like, you'll note that Geralt switches swords when fighting creatures. Pocket monsters. Cool. Smash or pass. Did we have similar or different answers from the OK Beast?
I'm sorry.
Did we have similar or different answers from the OK Beastie Boys?
It's about similar,
Okay.
honestly. You know, it's just like you would just have to add in like maybe like a minute long of Ian tangenting, but other than that, we got some spot on.
Yeah. We'll have to, again, we talked about an option, but you know, Ian,
Oh yeah, we talked about
Ian and Tony in the same room is it's just a dangerous thing. Or Ian and anyone from New Jersey, because he will somehow finds a way to find that out within 3 minutes of meeting someone. He's like, "Oh, you're from Jersey," and it's always downhill from there, but in the best way. Cool. Let's talk about some video games. I played some video games this week. It's been a little bit since I talked about games first. I played, and I've been so excited to finally talk about it. I've been playing Crosscode. I've been talking about this for a while, so anyone who's listening to the show, or you guys especially, like this came out on PC, I think like December 2018, or sometime in 2018. It had been in early access before then. It is like a top-down action RPG, very Zelda-like. I would say is like the easiest comparison. And I played a little bit of it then, and I really liked what I played, but it was just one of those things of, I'm going to play this when it comes to console. It's finally come to console. It came out on Thursday, but the publisher sent me a code last week. So I've been playing for a couple weeks. I've been playing on PS4, but it is also out on Switch and Xbox One. It's on Game Pass on Xbox One as well. So if you have that, you can play it right now, no additional charge, and I would highly recommend it. I really love this game. Might be one of my new favorite games of all time. But just to kind of get the rip the Band-Aid off a little first, just on a technical level, playing on consoles on PS4, this game crashes a lot. I've never seen a console game, I think, crash this much. And it's because of, I guess there's like a very specific bug that you can very easily replicate, where if you are going into the menus and going through them too fast, there's a possibility the game hitches up and freezes and then crashes. I got it to happen 13, 14 times. Like this happened a lot throughout the 60 hours that I played. It was never like a big deal, really, because the game has a really good autosave system. But there were definitely occasional times where I lost like a screen's worth of progress, and I was like, fuck, I should not have opened the menu, or like I hate that the menu does this every time. I just want to get that out of the way first. Some frame rate issues, but that's pretty minor. I'd never seen that in a game really on consoles this generation, like a lot of heavy crashing. So full disclosure for anyone looking to buy it on console, I don't know if that's an issue on Xbox. I hear there are some other technical issues on the Switch version, but I've not played either of those. But so Crosscode, now that I've actually played it, and it's kind of hard to describe, but I've talked a lot about another game on the show called Alundra, and it is unbelievable to me how much like Alundra this game is, to the point where I was like, Alundra is like one of those cult classic, like if you played it at the time, you probably love it still to this day type games. And it's a very Zelda-like game. It's a top-down isometric pixel art adventure game. in the same kind of, I would say, style as like The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, right? There's dungeons. You're going around on like a world map. You're kind of going back to a hub town, progressing a story and getting upgrades and stuff that let you access new areas. Crosscode has a lot of the same stuff. The big thing, the why it is so specifically like Alundra, to the point. So I tweeted at the studio. I was like, "Have you guys played Alundra?" Because I had to know. I was like, "Did y'all play this before you made this game?" And they said, "Yes, we did." And I was like, "Thank you. All right, that's all I need to know." So like in my heart of hearts, this game is like a spiritual successor to Alundra in a lot of ways, in how it handles puzzles and how it handles traversal, especially, and how it handles its action and its platform and how they meld together, which is great. And it was a thing that I never thought I would get, as someone who, anytime you love an obscure game like Tomba in your childhood, you just assume you'll never see anything like that again. But this game has all the best makings of it. So, top-down action, you run around, pixel art. A lot of the game is like figuring out how to platform your way somewhere. There is like no manual jump in this game, which was weird at first, but you definitely get used to. So it just kind of functions like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask or any of those kind of early 3D Zelda games, where you just walk up to a ledge and you jump across, or if it's like something that you can jump onto that's like high enough for you to jump up like a platform to climb upstairs or whatever, you'll just automatically jump up as you go through it. And it's a lot of the environmental exploration of this game is like you figuring out how to get to chests hidden in corners of maps and having to get up to a higher altitude, then jump from platform to platform to get to where you need to go, and then eventually find the chest or solve a puzzle to get to it. And that stuff, this is one of those things where it's like, this game works super, super well for me. I don't know if any of you three would like it in particular, but or anyone for that matter, because it is so specifically my shit. And that the way like it's using visual perspective to like show difference in height and everything and jumping around is a little confusing, just like it was in Alundra as well. So I don't know if that's going to work for everybody. But I love that stuff, and a lot of I've put like 60 hours in this game, and most of it I would say is just me running around like the different environments and finding secrets in the levels and jumping from area to area. But the thrust of the game, it's it's an anime MMO story basically of like, oh, there's a girl, she's trapped in an MMO, she doesn't really know why. What's cool is the MMO in this universe is like an actual physical place. Like humans found a planet, there's a moon on a planet that has a stable environment. They terraformed it and turned it into essentially a giant theme park, so that way humans from all around this, it's, I don't know, year 3000 or whatever, there's colonies and stuff, so humans log on to this future internet, and they appear on this planet as like these avatars, made of like this quick metal that essentially can change itself into any matter, but it's super lightweight and not very durable. So it's like magic building blocks that just like throw themselves together into, and oh look, it's a human body or like an anime person body. So all these people log on and take the form of this avatar on this planet, and it's a real physical place that has been made into this video game, this fictional video game. And that's kind of like the plot. So you're trying to figure out why you're trapped there, why you need to progress to understand more. And I don't want to spoil any of that. I think the story's pretty good. It's not, it's not amazing, but I was surprised at a lot of times, and they play around with expectations. But the kind of third pillar of this game is this whole, it's full of puzzles. And I have not played like an actual puzzle game in a while, but like this is pretty a hardcore puzzle game. Like a lot of them they use similar mechanics, but the swath and variety of what you do in puzzles in this game is enormous, and they're very good, and I'm very happy with. They remind me a lot of like Portal puzzles in that the way the solution comes together, the way it tries to organically tell you information with context clues and all that is great. And the moment that it all clicks, always feels really good for me. And it's never been so bad where I got like actually stuck and I had to look anything up. I haven't had that. I think it's a pretty good balance. Because most of the game, the combat in the game, you have an up close and personal melee, but a lot of it is like you can aim with the right analog stick and shoot these projectiles, and they ricochet off walls. So most of the puzzles in this game are like trick-shotting projectiles off walls to ricochet into a couple other things, either to activate switches or to open doors, or to pass through certain walls that only your bullets can pass through, to move blocks around, to activate items like based on different elements. It's a lot of stuff of just trick-shotting these ricochet balls all over the place. And I thought it would get old after, hours and hours and hours of doing puzzles of this kind. But they essentially, through the dungeons, there's 4 dungeons in the game, they introduce like different elements, and they all come into these trick shot puzzles in a different way. So you get the fire element, and suddenly you can melt ice blocks, but you can also light and shoot these explosives that can like ricochet and also go across gaps and stuff. And then in the ice elemental dungeon, you get the ice element, which can freeze these water bottles, and then or water balls, I should say, not bottles. And then they turn into little ice blocks that you can like slide across the room, or there are like water pillars that you can evaporate with fire or freeze with ice, and then use that either as a stepping stool to platform or to bounce or ricochet one of your shots off of. There's a lot of different ways, and then there's a whole thunder and wind element, and like the way those 2 mechanics get used actually really surprised me. So I don't want to spoil it, but there is just so much in this game. It is dense. It is very reminiscent of Alundra specifically, but it also has like a lot of other PS1 game DNA that is like really, really my shit. Like, and I talked about it just a couple weeks ago. But like I love in the Tomba games how they have like this chest system where you get like the basic chest key, and then you can open all these basic chests throughout the map. And as you progress, eventually you get the kind of advanced, and then the 3rd tier, and then the 4th tier chest key. You can open all 4 types of chests. There is like basically exactly that system in this game where as you go through the game, you can open basic chests by default, and then you'll find bronze lock chest, silver lock chest, and gold lock chests. You'll get the bronze, silver, and gold key as you play through the game. So it gives you incentive to go back to old areas and open those chests that usually have better equipment or special crafting items in it. And all the while, like it plays into this MMORPG style. You're grinding, you're fighting a lot of similar enemies or palette swapped enemies. You're getting a lot of crafting materials and taking them to traders and using them to craft different weapons and items. There's like a base crafting armor set that you can get in each area, and then like an advanced one if you grind it out and get enough crafting materials to do it, and it's usually worth it to do so. It's like a fire on all cylinders type game, and like I said, I put 60 hours into it in the last 2 weeks. It's really good. I expected it to be probably my shit and something I would really like, but it is like very, very specifically takes from a lot of games that I really like and are really special to me, and then amalgamates them into something even cooler. I don't know if any of that sounds like something you guys would be into. I think like Tony, Scott, you two above anything might be into it. I don't know how it would play with you in option, but it's really good. It's like really good. It's one of those like you play an indie game, you're like, oh man, these dudes fucking got it. In my head, the way I thought of it, because I think it's a pretty good comparison, is if Shovel Knight is how you remember how NES games play and they're modernized and you play it, and it's like playing those games, but really it's not, because it brings in all the like checkpoints and modern systems that actual NES games wouldn't have. But it feels so true to that era that when you play it, you're like, man, somebody just plucked this out of 1987 and just put it right here in front of me. This, in a very similar way, feels just like that, but not with NES games, like with Sega Saturn and PS1 RPGs. Like those early disc era pixel art RPGs like Alundra, like Tomba, stuff like that. It really just like it feels like a game plucked right out of that time, because it feels like if this game was made then, it would be like the big budget, huge, like Final Fantasy VI massive RPG that everyone's talking about, but it's just come years later. Like it feels like an instant cult classic to me, and that's just awesome. It just has like that level of care, that level of understanding of the kind of games that it emulates, but it also takes it all to the next level and evolves all of those formulas and makes it something new and special at the same time. It is both old and new, and it's awesome. And I really, really like it. I'm happy to have finally played it. I think that's all I have played this week, though. Really, I got back into Overwatch. I should say that with a grain of salt. I played a little Overwatch. More than a little, but it had been a very long time since I played Overwatch.
Like over a year, right?
Yeah, probably a year and a half, closer. And I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going to sit down and get way back into it again. It is just like I was in one of those moods where it was like I don't want to start anything new, and multiplayer seems like it makes the most sense because like it's very non-committal. So of the multiplayer games that I would play Overwatch. And since the last time I played, and this is probably not news to most people, but like they changed it so when you queue up for a game, you have to like queue into support, tank, or attacker, and then once you load into a game, you can only play someone within the roles that you said that you would play, which is weird. And they have like an open play list, like where you can just play like how it was before. I guess they made this change before not the current season, but the last season that just finished. And it's dumb. That's really all I wanted to say. But yeah, Overwatch is still fun every now and again. It's not as fun as it used to be, but it's still fun for me. But yeah, that's all I play. I'm watching my roommate play The Last of Us Part 2, but I have nothing else to add for that. And that's been fun. But yeah, man, Crosscode. Really, I've been anticipating it for so long. And that usually fucks me up when I get to it. And it's like, all right, well, this isn't as good. But I guess I didn't know how specifically it took from all these things that I really, really like. So if any like PS1 RPG platformer, especially fans out there, this sounds interesting to you at all, please go get it. It's on Game Pass. It's on everything now, so you can't miss it, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's dense. You get a lot of bang for your buck here. I think it's either $15 or $20, and like I said, I'm 62 hours in, and I'm on the last chapter. I believe I'm like essentially at the point of no return in RPG speak, so I could go and do the end thing. But once you get to the end game, and again, because it's in an MMO, they kind of have like essentially a simulated MMO end game in it. So you get to a part where you can like grind out new materials and get a whole new swath of equipment. And I've just been doing that for like 6 hours. And I probably have a lot more of that to do if I want to. So it's great. I cannot recommend it enough. Tony, what about you, man? Video games?
Just one. Yeah,
Black Desert Online.
Yeah, dude. We're in.
We're back, baby. What made you get into Code Vein? What drew you to it?
Yeah, so basically every day, I watch the same Twitch streamer in the evenings. And right now he is playing Dark Souls 3 Cinder's mod, which is a complete overhaul of Dark Souls 3. Well, not like full overhaul, but it updates it to be a lot more difficult if you want it to be. Kind of breaks the progression a little bit, so you don't have to go point A to B to C to D. You can kind of go to A to D to C to B if you want. And adds a bunch of new items, changes the balance of some stuff that was super fucking broken, and kind of just gives you a bunch more weapons and stuff to play with. And on top of that, like I said, there are these challenges that you can turn on that make the game significantly harder. Like enemies do way more damage and take way less damage. All enemies packs have like one or two more of those monsters with them.
Oh wow, yeah, that would
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it really like amps up the game. And I've been watching him play that, and it kind of got me wanting to play Dark Souls again. But I don't own Dark Souls on PC, so it's not an option for me to play that mod. So I was looking around, and I remembered about. It just came to my mind that there was this like anime Dark Souls Code Vein game that I knew about a little bit, but I didn't actually know what the game was. So I went and I looked up some information about it, and ended up getting it on Steam, and started playing it a couple days ago.
Yeah. What do you think?
So it's been pretty good so far. It's fucking Dark Souls with anime characters, you know.
It is.
The storyline is a little bit more, is presented a little bit more matter of factly than a Dark Souls storyline would be. Through a series of, you're not one person and a Firelink Shrine maiden who says like 4 things total.
Yeah.
And then a couple, NPCs that say, sometimes cryptic but very thematic things. You're with a group of people doing a certain thing in the in the story of this game. So it's more of a kind of like JRPG-esque storyline that is presented in the context of you playing a Dark Souls game. And the combat is pretty close to Dark Souls. The only difference is that in Dark Souls you have a weapon. The weapon determines your move set and everything. In this game that still is the case, but you also have this basically like a class that you can select for your character, and you gain more and more of these as you go through the game. And you can master skills from those classes, which then let you carry them over to another class. And whichever one you have equipped, it helps determine how your stats scale and everything. So you don't just say, like, I'm going to build a character with 80 dexterity. It's like, I'm going to level my character up. And depending on what things I have equipped, that stuff will be shown more.
Yeah.
So you kind of combine different things, and it allows you to build characters in really interesting ways. Because you have a weapon that determines your damage output with your weapon, and your armor has absolutely nothing to do with that. It has to do with how defensive you are, or the strength of your skills, which is completely separate from your weapon. So you get to do some really cool stuff, and there are a lot of mechanics that you can play around with in there that I've had a good time messing with. And I think the gameplay is pretty good. The combat is, it's faithful to Dark Souls like combat, while adding its own thing.
Yeah.
And letting you really play around with that.
Yeah, you have like special moves and stuff too that you can do.
Yeah. So the gifts, they're basically like either active skills that may heal you, increase your damage enemies or whatever, and then you have passive skills that may increase your stats, give you another special buff, help with your healing and all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of choose how you want to approach it, and build your character that way, which is pretty cool.
How's the level design for the game? I know, for people who have Soul games, it's
level design is
like the boss fights, the combat, and the level design. I guess with the 3.
Yeah. The marriage of those, components is what makes a Dark Souls game really good.
Yeah.
I think. Right. Bloodborne especially was really fucking strong in the level. In the level.
Yeah,
design
everything was
area.
the same tone, and it all worked together.
Right. Yeah. This game, I think it starts out a little bit dull as far as the color palette and everything. But for the setting that you're in, it kind of makes sense where you'd be, where you are. And as you grow in power and your aspirations as a character and the scope of what you're doing grow, you go to areas that are a bit more extreme. And I think they definitely embrace the thematics of each one. So as far as the actual design of the levels, visually, I think it does vary quite a bit.
Okay.
I was talking a little bit before the show. There is that that famous Dark Souls 3 moment where you leave the Lothric tomb and come out into Orlando, and it's like you go from dark to this bright white and blue area. They do that same thing in this one. So I had a very similar feeling when I came out into that area in this game as I did when I was doing it in Dark Souls years ago. So that was pretty cool. But the actual design of the levels, like the whole game, you can run from the start of a level to the very end and probably like a minute and a half to 2 minutes if you want to just get to the boss, if you could do that. But then you could also spend like 45 minutes to an hour plus, exploring all of the different ways you can progress through it, finding items, finding, some of the weapons that you get, very similarly to Dark Souls, are just found in a level somewhere in a chest. Maybe you'll find this specific weapon. So it really, and you to get more of this game's Estus flasks, just regeneration charges, and the item that basically gives you like Estus +1 +2. You need to explore the areas that you're in and find those items. They're not handed to you. So the game definitely wants you to explore and go through all of the winding passages, and it really each area has a bit of a maze to it, with a bunch of verticality. That's really a huge factor in a lot of the levels, is that you can't climb or jump as a player. So they will show you an item that is on a ledge a bit above where you can get to, and then you spend the next 20 minutes figuring out how the fuck do you get over there. There's a lot of that in there, and I think that they do the wraparound shortcuts and stuff really well in this game, is just like in Dark Souls, where you'll come to an area and kick down a ladder and be like, oh, hey, I can get back to this bonfire or whatever that I've been trying to get to. I've needed one, and now I've got this shortcut just kind of right on time. So a lot of that is definitely really cool. They do a lot of that really well.
That's cool.
Yeah, as far as level design.
So I'm curious, like, because you get these new, you know the word for it better than I do, but like these, like, essentially the things that give you the new skill trees.
Yeah, they're blood codes.
Blood codes, yeah. How many of those do you get?
Right now, I think I have like 15.
Jeez, yeah. It felt like you would get a lot of them.
There are different levels of usability for each one. I think that they definitely made a couple blood codes that very much embrace the fact that you are going to use this just to unlock the abilities and then use them with something else.
Yeah.
There are some that only have like 4 abilities, and like that are just basically utilities. So they fit the thematic of what the person who's blood coded is, what they are. So like the person who runs your weapon shop has some weapon buffing and that kind of stuff in her tree, because that's what she does.
Yeah.
And the person who's a traveling merchant has a lot of the abilities that would be beneficial to someone looking around a zone for items, or being wandering around trying to do that odds and ends and that kind of thing. So they definitely follow some some thematics with that. And then the more combat oriented ones may have like anywhere between 9 and 15 abilities in there, of which you're only equipping 4 passives and 8 active skills of all of your skills from every class. That's how many you get. So you kind of pick and choose, and then you assign. There's some basically, of some select abilities that each class has that is unique to that class. You can only use it while you are using that class. So you kind of pick the one that has the thing that you want with the scaling that you want, and then use abilities from that class or other classes to complete your build.
Huh. That's cool. Like that was the thing, I think, system wise, that stood out to me the most, of like mix and matching these skill trees and essentially kind of making your own class with supplements from other classes.
Yeah.
So is like everybody a vampire or what?
They're not vampires. They don't turn into bats, and they don't die in the sunlight or anything like that.
Do they sparkle?
No, they don't sparkle either. But basically, they're called revenants in the game, and basically it is a person who has died, and when they died, these and you learn a lot of this through flashbacks that the game just gives you throughout, that you basically view people's memories that they lost when they died, and through that you kind of figure out a lot about the world in a roundabout way. And so basically, when people die, these scientists had figured out a certain parasite that if you put it in the person when they're dead, they will come back to life as a zombie guy.
Oh,
Las Plagas?
Las Plagas.
That is the same, has the same shit, same memories, same persons they were before, but they're a revenant now, and they don't need to eat. Instead, they get sustenance from human blood, or specifically the blood from these trees that are growing around the area.
Blood trees.
Yeah, that make these blood beads that are basically teardrops of this blood-like substance that seems to be a fitting alternative for human blood.
FK and the coffee.
Yeah, it's all coming together.
Yeah, and the thing about it is now that you're a zombie person, if you die, you're basically your body can revive itself, but you lose a little, some small amount to large amount of your memory each time.
Oh.
So, and that's left as like a crystallized thing. So people eventually, as they die too much, lose all of their memory, so they have no idea what's going on.
They just
at
become
that point.
feral.
No, well, there's another thing.
Yeah, that's different.
causes
That's
that.
Okay.
There's like a miasma. that
Oh
they refer
yeah,
to
that's why
as
they wear the gas
fog of
masks.
the area.
Yeah, basically,
Why they wear the gas
yeah,
masks.
basically, eventually the parasite will reject the body,
Okay.
and it will start destroying it, and then those people go mad, but they also can't quite die yet either.
Oh God.
So, yeah, and then they call those people the Lost.
Yeah, that's basically what happens when they don't drink blood or have blood beads for too long. The miasma speeds up that process dramatically.
Mm.
And it is repelled by those trees and buds that grow the blood beads. So the revenants try and stay near there and search for blood beads, so that because the area that they're in is basically like this quarantine zone off from the rest of society. This is massive fucking city that is surrounded by a net that keeps all these bad and good things in.
So
So presumably there are many, many, many humans in a normal world outside.
yeah,
of
that's what I
all
was gonna say. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and so and right where I'm at in the story is where they've kind of just laid out the fact that the barrier that everyone assumes is just there is there on purpose to keep them in, because not everybody's a good revenant.
Yeah.
If everybody got out, it could create an even bigger disaster of people feeding on all the other humans.
Yeah. And the
Prey-
miasma and
prey on
everything.
them, because they're immortal and all that. The miasma is a separate thing created by other stuff. There's a lot of story. I don't want to get into all of it
Yeah.
because
That's why I was just curious about the.
there's a reason for everything, and you do find that out by playing the game. So
Yeah, that's cool. Because I remember thinking like, okay, this like vampire people stuff is kind of cool. I was wondering why they didn't if it was fully apocalyptic or not. But
yeah, and obviously as the main character, you have the special, Joker card ability.
Yep.
You can inherit all of those if you eat people's blood. You can gain the ability to use their blood codes, because originally at the beginning of the game you don't have one, and then you eventually later in the game regain your original blood code.
is your original blood code is like some dope skills?
Yeah, definitely has some cool shit.
Good. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see.
Yeah, a lot of them are really cool.
You getting into this too. Like you were showing us some stuff before we started of like your build and all that, and I appreciate how much detail and flexibility they have in those kind of mechanical builds.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you were to just walk back into it, you wouldn't have any issue.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah,
I was
the
pretty
game's-
early too, so
Yeah, you're pretty early. 2, the game's not that hard.
no.
No, it's really not. Like I was saying, they've got this whole partner system where you could pick someone from your party of NPCs, and they will come with you,
And they will take care of you.
and they will literally just baby you through the entire game.
Oh yeah,
The big thing of Dark Souls is like you walk around a corner and you get ambushed. There's a ton of that in this game, but the NPCs will be like, "Watch out around that corner,"
Yeah.
Or you'll open a chest and something will pop down behind you, and they will start attacking it immediately. So a lot of that stuff is annulled by the fact that you have this co-op partner 24/7.
Not to mention they're actually OP.
Yeah, they're very good.
Like
Some of
they're
them are-
for at the very least, that second guy you get,
Yeah, I
not
know who
bro.
you're talking about.
he's absolutely broken.
He pulls his weight, and then
yeah,
some.
he's like got this big ass defensive buff and massive damage, but he's slower.
Mhm.
That
So
but here's the thing: it's that his special attacks are fast, they hit very hard, and he uses them very frequently. and that the special buff is it's a one-time. Hey, I'm going to massively decrease the next hit you take.
Yeah,
The thing about it is he likes to spam it. So if you get hit and you dodge and you disengage for a little bit, you'll have it up probably by the next time you go to take a hit.
When I played this when it came out, it was like a very little bit. Keep in mind, I was also playing at the time. I was playing through like all the Dark Souls games, so
Yeah.
that I think was like a little bit of a taking my attention away from it. But I don't know. I'd be willing to give it another shot. Hearing what you guys have said, and I know they've like patched it and stuff, and
yeah,
they've supported it. Did he...
Of the Souls games I've played, I would say that this one's definitely near the bottom.
Yeah.
But you know,
It's hard to climb that mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard.
When we talk about like when we're
To be fair, the only Souls games I've played besides this one are from Software.
yeah,
So
the not really any Souls likes imitators and stuff. I mean, like
Yep.
having played stuff like Lords of the Fallen, right? This Code Vein's definitely better than Lords of the Fallen, right? Like
I think it's it's of the ones that Souls likes that I've played. It's probably the best one.
mm-hmm. I think I've gravitated more toward the 2D ones. Like if I'm going to play
like Salt and Sanctuary.
yeah,
and
Salt and
that kind of
Sanctuary, or like Hyper Light Drifter has a little bit of that Souls likeness to it as well, and those are the kinds of stuff that I guess I like. I've not really played a lot of the 3D ones, but I'll give it another shot. Scott, you've also been playing it. Did you have anything else you want to throw in there? Or
me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a bit of a rant.
Oh yeah.
Very small.
Okay.
Fuck anime.
But
let it out, Scott.
you wouldn't know how long it's been since we had a Final Fantasy Tactics game, like an actual new one.
Probably 10 years at least.
13.
Oh my god.
So they have, I think, four games in total, or maybe it's 5 and I'm missing one. But they have the original PS1 game,
Mm-hmm.
re-released like 4 times.
Of course.
They have Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced and Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced A2. And now finally, we got the 4th one.
Oh.
Oh.
I have a feeling this is not going to go the way I want it to.
Yeah, it's a mobile game.
Of course.
It's a gacha mobile game.
Oh no.
It's a gacha mobile game, which it's a gacha mobile game that has a link to a scam page.
Oh, good. That sounds like an oversight that maybe somebody would probably make. That makes sense.
So, the game itself is probably the worst of all the Final Fantasy Tactics games, straight out. The first one, A1 and A2 are better than it. I mean, like the one thing that it has going for it is that directionals matter.
Oh, good.
Like,
I know.
a lot less than they should. A lot less than they
I was
should.
gonna say, I know that's always like the
But they
thing you
matter.
bring up.
Pretty much every time.
Yeah.
Because every time I've played another non-Final Fantasy Tactics game, the directionals, they might have them, but they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, they legitimately don't do anything.
Yeah, like Fire Emblem doesn't matter, et cetera, et cetera.
Nope. Right. So, yeah, it's disappointing that it'll be another very
It'll probably
long
be another
wait.
12, 13 years.
And well, here's the thing: it's they'll probably just treat this as a you see I knew we shouldn't have done this.
Yes.
Despite it being because it's not like Seven Deadly Sins where it can be gross, but even with its PvP system pushing for people to be gross about it, there are still people who never put a cent into it and are still at the top.
Yeah, and still
Like,
having fun.
at the top meaning being number 1 and 2, and then going back and forth with a guy who's wailing. Yeah, and then there's the game that's like Arc Knights or Pad, where sure you can wail, but at that point, why? Because most of the game is beatable with units you pretty much get without rolling.
Yeah.
Like you without touching the banner itself and any of that stuff itself. Like you don't actually have to roll to get all the characters you need to beat most of the game. Only some of the challenge events. So this is a far cry from that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Scott. We've all been through this, though. I think this has happened to all of us now. They're like, hey, you wanted a sequel to this? Well, I've got a great idea. How about I gotcha? Gotcha. Yeah, I'm sorry. That sucks. I hadn't heard about it in other Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I gave it a shot simply because hey, this might not be a gross one.
Turns out.
But no, it's kind of really bad. And honestly, it's got me thinking about trying to rummage through for one of those old games.
What's the name of it? It's just Final Fantasy Tactics Mobile?
No, it's Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of the Visions.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, Jarrett also, I think, hates this game. Because he reviews a lot of mobile games, and I believe he put a lot of time into that.
Yeah, and the one of the worst parts about it is it's the style of game isn't very conducive to a gacha unless you have like what's the best way to put this? Like, first and foremost, named characters don't work that well in these types of games. Like imagine if you were trying to play XCOM, but the only characters you had were story characters, and that's like it.
Yeah.
Or where, like, if there's no extra recruits that you could have for Fire Emblem, you just had the story characters, and that was it.
Yeah. That sucks.
Right. So, and then the other thing is, to combat this sort of problem of limited characters, what they did is they just reduced the amount of characters you bring onto a field.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Fire Emblem Heroes.
On one hand, I get it. The mobile device isn't built to handle a ton of those characters.
Yeah, but at this point it could, you know.
At this point it could. They're not worried about if it can pull it off. They're worried about battery life and heat.
Yeah.
Because already it's going to be draining your battery faster. Anything that they can do to reasonably pull that down is going to end up being a win for the game.
And I think like a big factor for mobile development is like how quickly can you get in and out of it. So like they want these things to be like 2 minutes maximum.
Right. But it's like not only that, but they decided to add elements to the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So a system that would be fantastic if you were bringing 12 people on now kind of just sucks now that you're only bringing 5.
Got it.
Because you do not have enough characters to bring one character of every element.
Yeah. And suddenly you just have to pick and choose. Do you have like an idea of like what you're up against before you load into a map, or is it just
sometimes?
Okay.
So the answer is sometimes. Like the maps are not random; they're all preset. So you could look it up. But for the story missions, the answer is you don't know beforehand. You walk into it, and they give you a level recommendation for it.
Yeah, that's always like I always wonder, like how much tactically can you even apply to that? Because like the nice thing about Fire Emblem is like you look at the field, you see what's on there, and obviously enemies and reinforcements
you can
show
pre-drop.
up.
You can pre-drop,
but you can anticipate at least.
Right. The thing about it is you can pre-drop and pre-place your units. The thing that you can't do, which is the key for all of the other games, is after you see the map, you can't go and select your characters afterwards and then drop them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You have to bring in a pre-built team.
That's crazy.
I can understand not being able to edit people's equipment,
but the whole team.
I can understand not being able to people's equipment, but you can't look at the map before you decide who you're putting down.
Yeah.
And then you have the element system to make it worse.
Yeah, that sucks.
So It's like,
You just kind of have to plan for every situation, and then
well, even then, the game's not necessarily hard enough for that
okay.
to be like. So in the previous games, it's the increased unit count allowed them to increase the difficulty of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you have a reduced unit count, 5, even if they can stack the enemies all the way up, your strategies are very limited simply due to the amount of units you have. So, because let's take for an example, in A2 there is a mage mana battery strategy, where you would take a cannoneer into a map for the sole purpose of giving other people mana.
Smart. Makes sense. This makes sense to me.
Sometimes you would use 2 so that the cannoneers could give each other mana, and there would be no downtime whatsoever.
Cool. I like that.
And what this would allow you to do is, because your mana were generated over your turns and as you took actions, this would allow you to have access to high mana spells immediately. Or at the very least, within the first 2 turns.
Okay.
But this requires, in order to pull this off, your first couple attacks require 2 people worth of setup and 1 person actually doing any work. If you were to try to do that here, that means you have 2 other people that you can fill out your team with. So you have 3 people that attack and 2 people that buff.
Yeah.
And what that kind of leads you into is, if you try to do that, there's no pulling any outnumber trap. There is pretty much no flanking strategies, even though you have directionals in there.
Yeah. So it just
And then it's like there you were limited to now 3 types of attackers.
so it just doesn't successfully adapt the larger party size to a smaller party size.
Right, and it's like there's a bunch of things that they could have simplified or changed to make that better.
Yeah.
Like, for example, how the job system works is just your characters are assigned 3 different jobs. And you can almost pick which skills you use.
Almost.
You see, you cannot deselect your main job. You have your main job and 2 sub jobs. But not only that, you don't always get, if you decide to pick one of your sub jobs in your sub slot, you lose some of your main job's abilities because some of them are set to the sub slot.
So you can only really have the one thing at a time.
So you're effectively one job at a time.
Yeah. What are the sub jobs just there so that you could switch to them, or?
They're there so you can switch to them, but you also lose most of your abilities from your main one.
Yeah, it's
so
weird.
let's say that you're a red mage, right? Those 2 abilities that you start out with would be either a second class damaging spell and Cura. If you switch off of red mage to, let's say, a time mage, if you had any other abilities, let's say sleep, a second class spell that they had later in the tree, those would probably be gone, and you're replaced with the time mage abilities. Instead of saying, oh, you can pick between this time mage or a multi-class as like a soldier or something in that last slot. So you could either have your red mage stuff and then switch between those 2 jobs. It's like, not really. You have like 1 skill or maybe 2 specific to that character that you start with, and then you pick the jobs from there.
Yeah. So
the only thing that's like decent about that is that if somebody has that job, the skills that they have along the way generally mirror the other jobs. So like a time mage has time mage abilities, and that sounds very silly, but you have to remember this is a gacha game with unit specific characters and not blank slates.
Yeah, it just sounds like they, it's too similar to the other tactics games when it should have been just more different, honestly.
Well, that's the thing. It's very different from the other tactics games.
But I mean, like it's
in smaller ways, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they add new systems. It's one of those things where it's if they didn't make it a mobile game, and if they didn't lock things that made sense for a gacha game, this could be a very good game.
But it did not get there.
But they had to. It looks to me like in order to make it make sense as a gacha game, and then make it make sense as a mobile game as well, they had to cut shit out.
Yeah.
And now the game's not that good.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I've heard all over the map things about Exvius, so it's good to have like a little bit more in depth of how it works.
Right. So
I'm sorry it's a disappointment, Scott. I know that feeling.
It's a disappointment. It's a bit gross.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm a bit torn because here's the thing. This is probably the last one we'll get.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of loud Final Fantasy Tactics people out there that might get one to happen again.
Oh, an indie game from Square themselves.
Yeah, or something that is not tactics in name, but is tactics in execution. You know, either from a Square Enix studio like Tokyo RPG Factory. I could see them doing something like it.
Maybe, but it's not a dead genre per se.
No,
it's again, you have your XComs, you have Dissidia.
Yeah.
But after playing both of them, yes, Dissidia is playing.
I knew exactly what you meant there, so don't worry about it.
This guy, it's after playing multiple iterations of them. It's the Final Fantasy Tactics version was hands down the best.
I know how much you love A2, man.
Because it's the other games fall into the same track pattern that this game ends up falling into, simply because of the issues.
Yeah, like so similar but different, and you'll get it too because you're also a Paper Mario fan. It's they did a preview. Nintendo did a preview of Origami King this week, and they showed a lot more gameplay and stuff. So like the kind of big disappointing thing is that this game also does not have experience. There's no leveling, just like Color Splash and just like Sticker Star.
Oh boy, that whole rabbit hole they
and
they failed to fix that.
Yeah, and talking to people about it, they're like, "Well, why are you upset about this? You know, it makes it more accessible and stuff like that." It's like I get it, and like,
it doesn't make it any more accessible. Levels themselves make the game more accessible.
I think so. I think that
if you're having trouble, grind it out.
Yeah, it can go both ways. So like I just, I don't necessarily think the arguments works for that specifically. But when people are like, well, they're trying new things, and to be fair, Origami King does have a lot more of the DNA of old Paper Mario games than Color Splash or Sticker Star did. I'm still interested in it. I want to give it a shot. But like to those people, it's like like they figured this thing out and they started refining it and moving in a direction, and then they just kind of pivoted all the way away from it. It feels like Tactics kind of did the same thing, where like every time.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
every time since A2, they've failed to update that game. Is what I mean.
It feels like this would be a Sticker Star.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me too. Where it's like maybe you're trying something different for a different platform, but also like it doesn't work, and it's okay to be critical of that,
Right, but like. Here's where I don't have a whole lot of hope.
Mm-hmm.
It's because no one really all that closely associated with Square Enix is making the game.
Yeah. Probably no one from that
Square
team.
Enix game studio.
Especially.
Because the games, it's like how Nintendo does their mobile games. Completely outsourced.
Yeah.
They licensed it off. And generally, a part of those deals is, I mean, not quite for Nintendo because of course not. But for these general deals, it's while we're doing this, you can't make any more of these games.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's still potential for Square to do it again. I believe. I haven't given up hope quite yet. I'll believe twice as hard for you, Scott.
You see, I had the hope until this came out.
That's fair. XP has been kicking around for a little bit, though.
Bravely Tech.
Bravely Tech. Yeah, Bravely Tactics A2 squared. It can happen.
It'd be nice.
Bravely Tactics would be sick, though.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Right. I'll keep the dream alive for you, Scott.
I'd say the worst part about it is that if you like gacha games, if you're just one of those people that like it, the game's fine. Aside, like, coming from someone who isn't this so very picky about their tactics games, who would maybe be into Disgaea, the gameplay is kind of fine. There are the annoying aspects to it, but other than that, like it's to its core, how it works turn to turn, is a decent tactics game. It's just that much more frustrating.
Yeah.
When it's taken this long and they've refined it to something that was so much better.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I definitely know that exact pain. Is there anything else you played this week? Anything more posy?
There were we already talked about Code Vein. A little more Tarkov. Nothing too new.
Okay. Tony, was there anything else you wanted to mention out there, or was Code Vein really it?
That's it, bro.
No, because we missed last week as well. No Path of Exile League update. Are you done with it? Did you?
Still playing.
Okay. Is that belt still dope?
Still dope.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Nabashin.
Mm-hmm.
Video games. I'm sorry.
You doing okay?
I what? Am I doing okay?
I'm asking.
Like in like the immediate sense, I've been looking for my phone, so I can check the time, but I can't find it.
In the immediate sense, yes.
Or the overall sense.
The immediate sense.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Okay.
I'll find my phone probably eventually. But video games, what you got?
Not too much, honestly. I can't really even think of what I've been playing.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
Actually, like, one thing I just went back to, just like from out of nowhere, is like I just wanted to go back to the game. I went back to Shadow Colossus because I never beat the PS4 version of it.
Yeah, I saw you got some trophies in it.
Yeah, I finally went back to it like after like I dropped it around like 2018. I was like, I'll come back to this, and I just never did. But like I just felt like I only had like maybe like 3 more Colossi or whatever left. So like I beat it, re-loved it again, and then like I'm doing like a new game plus right now, just a little bit now, just to like enjoy it some more. Yeah, that game still really hits really hard, and it's still really really good. I played it on hard and like went through the cinematic mode of it at first. So like this new game plus, I'm just doing it in 60 frame, which is also very good.
It's very good.
Yeah. So yeah, that game's still really really good. It's still like one of my favorite games.
Me too.
Ever.
Yeah. It's a cool game.
Really, yeah.
It's one of those ones where like, you know, you can point someone at it and be like, yeah, there's nothing, you can play this and you'll never really play anything like it, you know? Even Eco and and Last Guardian have like that similar kind of wonky movement to the human characters, but like there's no like just thing like that. I really believe that.
Mm-hmm. And it's like I said, like from like 2 years ago, it's like when you get to the 5th Colossi, well, the one that flies, it's like I think that really like opens up like, oh wow, what this game could really be and what it really does.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know you try to figure out how to actually get the game actually attack you. Then you have to find out how to actually grab onto it. And then when you grab onto it, and it's like just like it's not a cutscene or anything. It's just like you're just on this thing. Now you have to find out how to take it down while in the air and like still trying to grab on and like do all this stuff all at the same time. I think that's just incredible. And like, there's. I could barely think of any games that really even do that. Like, sure, there's like stuff like with like Bayonetta or like Uncharted. Like, I'm playing this type of thing, but like, that's like, it's different when it's like, like something that solves a building and you're fighting against it, and like it's not a cutscene like in any part of it. So
yeah, are you talking about like the big sandworm specifically, the big flying sand worm?
No, like the pterodactyl.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, and another thought with that, like. To your point is like when it happens, like when you get on the bird or like the big sandworm as well. I think that one is similar in how grand the area you're fighting in and the thing that you're on is, but like it really feels like, man, anything could happen. Like when you play God of War and you're coming up like the Colossi in that game or whatever, or the Titans. And they're huge and they're great and like they're incredible moments, like the fight with Kronos, I think, the one with the temple on the back, and you're fighting him and you're ripping off his nail and stuff. And it's great and it's huge and massive, but like not anything can happen. Like he's gonna do this, you're gonna grab that, and you might fall off and insta death, and you'll reload from a checkpoint. This is like, no, you're in it, and you could fall off any time. And you'll have to figure it out from there, Like, you don't just fail when that happens. You have to keep going.
Like, a good comparison with that Kronos thing is, like, you can see, like, how it's sectioned off, like, his levels to, like, in the way you fight him type of thing. Like, this is the part where you're on his shoulder, so you have to, like, actually, like, bite the stuff on his shoulder. And then, like, you're on his fingernails, so you have to, like, bite the part with his nails. And then you're actually inside him, you have to fight that level inside him. So it's, like, maybe, like, 4 or 5 levels to, like, make it seem like it's just like one cohesive thing, but like Shadow is just like it's just that entire thing, and it's just like, and sure, it could seem simplistic, and not all the bosses are great, but like at the same time, it's still just like I appreciate the game so much for like what it does, and like what it is one of those things that makes you feel like, oh man, video games could do anything type of thing. Yeah, like totally. That's one of those type of games.
Yeah, I get it. It's a cool game. Like I think we get too like jaded with things sometimes, and it's like, yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of boring, or like there's a whole lot of nothing. It's like, yeah, but like just on a very base level, what this game does and has you do is just so cool. And it's okay to be in awe of that sometimes.
Yeah, there's a thing to be said about like appreciating something. Even if it doesn't really click with you, but like like admiring what it is, like that's what me like with Breath of the Wild. Like I'll probably never beat that game, but like I appreciate that game so much as far as like the whole level is just like a puzzle, and like you just figure out how to do what you want to do in that game. It's like one.
Yeah, do what you want to do, and then when you're ready to walk away from it, you can. And I think that kind of stuff's cool. I'm learning to appreciate that kind of stuff more. Where I think circa 7 years ago. I couldn't get into anything like that. So, was there any reason that you picked it up, or was it just like, oh, this is on my PlayStation?
Because like I've really been thinking about the Demon's Souls remake. Honestly,
nice. Yeah.
And like it's obviously probably something I'm going to buy, but like actually not really get into. Like I don't know.
No, we're gonna make you play it, dude.
But like yeah, like I adore that trailer. I watch that trailer like all the time because I like the music for it. I like the tone that it sets, and like I just like how that trailer is just set up and like makes you anticipate that game coming out. And that's why I just like rewatching it over and over again. Like yeah, and like Blue Plane makes great ports, and like I just want to get like a taste of it with the Shadow Colossus because I haven't beaten it until now. So like yeah, that was a good reason, and I'm glad I did.
Good, I'm glad you did too. Yeah, I just like. The cliff walls in Shadow of the Colossus remake are just second to none, honestly. And it is such a weird, specific thing, but I remember just looking at the cliffs. I'm like, man, this shit looks real.
Yeah. I should go to Chico because like I literally haven't played that since that remaster come out on PS3.
Weirdly, I think you would like that game the most of all three of them.
No, because like it's funny because like Eco was like when I first got my PS2, that was on a demo desk, and like I always wanted to play it, never got around to it, and then when it came out on PS3, I played it, loved it, played the Shadow. That was my first time playing Shadow as well on PS3, and then it's like, oh wow, this is like so much better in a different way. But I really did like Eco. I would like to go back to that game again though. I literally haven't played it in so long, and The Last Guardian too. Like I haven't played that since it came out.
Eco just has like there's a warmth to it. It's like the least lonely of all those games, weirdly enough. And it's it's got a pretty happy ending. It goes places. I think it's cool. What else you played?
Trying to think of other stuff before the big one.
Yeah.
I know I did my 360 again. Not my 360. I fixed my Xbox One again.
Okay.
So like I could get ready for the whatever the announcements they're about to make next week. So like I could play those demos when it's available. But I fixed that again, and like I know I fired up like God, what did I play? Doom Eternal. I went back to that a little bit. I didn't play too much about it on it though. I wish I played more, but like or maybe I don't. I'm kind of apathetic about it, honestly.
Me too, man. It's the worst. I wish I could feel some sort of way, like I want to play it or I don't want to play it, as opposed to like, oh, I forgot about that game.
Yeah, basically, and it's like I can tell it's a good game, and like I could probably get into it if I actually wanted to, but it's like it's just not the time for it right now, and just like it's not mindless enough for me to like actually get into it. Like I feel Doom 2016 is, as far as like, because like when we like you and me and George talked about, it's like there's no point where that game like takes control away from you, and like I just felt that really fits for like Doom, but like it almost happens constantly in Doom Eternal for one reason or another, just to be like make it more cinematic or whatever. Not that it's a bad thing, like you're trying to like expand the lore of your story, and which is good and everything, but like I don't know, I just I don't know. It's a dumb nitpick that it's like that's like a dumb thing I don't even really need to say. But
it is not, because like so many people had the same criticism, like that they went too far down that road. And I've played literally the first level, so I don't necessarily have enough to go off of. And I liked what I saw in that first level, but it wasn't anything that compelled me to play more. So I get it.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, but like I think like that's the kind of game that you can forget about, then re-find and be like, oh, this is great, like, oh, this is just more of this, and I'm having fun.
Yeah. But other than that, like for some reason, I was looking through my old games, and like I saw Doritos Crash Course on my Xbox Live thing, and I was like, oh yeah, me and my nephew played a hell of a lot of that. So I fired that up a little bit, and that was fun. Just going back to that game. I don't know if you remember that game. It's an Xbox Live.
I remember Sneak King, but I don't remember Doritos Crash Course.
It's basically just letting those what's it called, like MXC. Like basically you're just going through obstacles and stuff like that. One of those wipeouts, whatever those like obstacle course.
Yeah, MXC wipeout thing.
Yeah.
Yes, let's see. The most memorable thing. It's MXC. Go for it. Just go for it.
I see what you mean now. I'm looking at pictures. It is like an obstacle course. The current one is The Floor is Lava on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen that one, but that is one of these wipeout style crash courses.
And that was a fun game. It was a free game, I believe, when it came out. So like of course I tried it, and like it was just fun. It reminds me of a simpler time. Just playing the game, just playing as an avatar. My 360 avatar even had my Fruit Ninja Connect pants on and my fucking Mass Effect hoodie.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, this old thing.
I have mine has the same Spelunky shirt that I have in real life, which is great because that was like an arcade unlockable for that game, and I was like, yes, perfect. I've never changed it since 2012 or whatever.
But yeah, I still think I think that game is still real dope. The Real Smash Bros. That's a fun thing. Like if you have like a younger sibling or a kid, like that's like a fun thing to play with them. And other than that, I went back to Puzzle Fighter HD, Super Puzzle Fighter.
Puzzle Fighter.
Yeah,
Yes.
I fucking love that game. Um,
It's real good.
yeah, it's like because like I was reminded by it because like Max is going through like all the Dan Hibiki legacy, like so he playing all the games that had Dan in it, and like he just stumbled onto Puzzle Fighters, and it's like, oh yeah, I fucking forgot how much I love this game, and like fire it up, just play like a good like hour or two of it, again just to play it. It's just fun. It's fun. It's so much fucking fun. Dan's the worst character in that game, also the best character in a weird way, because like all he has is this red on like so like So like with Puzzle Fighters, like you're just matching gems and like there's like 4 colors and like usually each character has like an assortment of colors in a random type of way, but Dan is just completely red. So like he can either fuck you really good or you can get fucked really really bad. So it's like easier win or lose with him like almost instantly. But at the same time, it's super fun because he's just a joke. He's just a joke character anyway. So like it fits that whole thing. So like yeah. Puzzle Fighters is great. It's like it's probably like my 51st like favorite game of all. I love that game so much. It's so good, and like I never had people to play it with. Like it's been a long time since I played it with somebody. Not that I'm good or anything in it, but like I just like it's a fun local multiplayer game for sure.
I have played Puzzle Fighter once with Scott Guthier.
Was that during Extra Life or something?
I might have played it during Extra Life as well. I'm talking about this is a pre-podcast era.
Yeah.
And I believe I played with Scott and his brothers, and I watched them play around. And I was like, okay, I think I got this, and then they just destroyed me. And to my knowledge, I've never played it again. But it was fun. It's a cool game. Like I've never really been into those kinds of puzzle games outside of Tetris, especially not the competitive ones. But it's got so much style, and it's very fun. But I don't have a lot of experience with it.
Yeah.
It's
I
cool.
mean, other than getting absolutely shreked, I'm pretty sure you did pretty well.
Yeah, as well as you can for jumping headfirst into this puzzle game against somebody. What else you got, Nabashin? You know I want the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
I also remember that you insisted on playing a character that said was a bad idea.
Yeah, I think I probably played Dan or something.
No, it wasn't Dan. I think it might have been.
Was it Blanca?
No. I think it was either Morgana or Ken.
Okay.
And it's just one of those things where I don't think the character itself is bad, but after like playing it myself, it's like, oh, whoa, this is a hard character to actually.
Yeah, it's hard to jump in.
And I didn't understand why.
Got it. All right, Nabashin. You've stalled long enough.
Mhm.
I didn't even know this game came out. That's how disconnected I have been for the last week.
Yeah, it came out this Friday. So I got Deadly Premonition 2. Playing that.
What's your first impressions?
I like it a lot, but like, there's stuff about it that like that's different. That's like different in a way. Just like it's just pacing basically. Pacing is like not the best, at least not in the opening right now. I'm probably like maybe like 3 or 4 to it right now.
Sure.
And I've gotten pretty much nowhere. So
To be expected.
So is it different pacing, as in Sweery kind of different, or no?
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Different pacing as far as like mechanics in a way where it's like usually like when it's like you're talking to a character, like it's like a cutscene, and it's like you gather all the information and like you move on to the next thing. But now it's more interactive, I guess you would say. Like when you're talking to a character, you have to press a button for the dialogue to keep going, which is like, ugh, you can't auto scroll that sucks. There's like and there's like a investigation type of stuff, or more of like there's more interactions with stuff, like as far as like characters or the things you see, and like you can like look at it, and then you could like talk about it. So like there's a spec button or there's a talk button, and like me trying to like get everything from the game. Like I'm trying to look at everything, so I'm trying to gather as much information as I can. But like it's just like it really just slows it down. Like you should probably just crit path it honestly, but like I want to see everything, so like I'm going through it. So it really slows the game down, and it kind of honestly like makes it like somewhat boring. But like yeah, I still really like it though for like a lot of good reasons. There is some rough stuff about it though, because like when you go from like Deadly Premonition 1 to like D4, and like the thing I liked about D4, probably about the most about it, what I liked about the most is like it's so polished.
Yeah,
it's a
polished.
very very polished game. And it's like, oh, this was sweet. When Suri has money, he can actually do something really cool with it. And like I remember, and specifically, I remember about D4. It's like I said, oh, I really appreciate the animation in this game.
Yeah,
the animation is so good. It's like, oh yeah, this is why like mocap doesn't work for everything for me, because like all the dumb shit they do in like D4 is like that's all this pretty much cartoons or whatever for these cartoon people, and it really fits for that, and it makes it really good. With Deadly Premonition 2 though, like you can see that like this is a very budget game.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing. I just pulled up and I was like, yeah, what's it look like now? It looks like a top of the line PS2 game.
Yeah, that's kind of like what Deadly Premonition 1 looked like as well. But like this one is like it's like at the same point, but also kind of worse at the same time, because they're like frame rate is just atrocious. Like it's not even like remotely good. And I don't know, because I became this kind of person now, because like frame rate matters to me now. Apparently, I don't know.
Congratulations, PC boy.
When you get used to it and you go back, it can be rough.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's stuff like there's no cars in the road, so you ride a skateboard to get from like transition from place to place, or that's the best way you get from place to place.
That's
so you ride a
incredible.
skateboard. But like the frame rate is already chugging in that game. But like when you're on a skateboard, it goes like literally down to like 10 frames, and like you're going for these long places or distant places, so it's like ugh, that's kind of rough. And like as far as like I was talking about, as far as the animation, like they don't emote as good as they did in Deadly Premonition 1. Like you can tell it's just like this is a blank stare looking character, and like it's just their mouth moving, and like nothing else is like animated whatsoever. It's kind of like the Family Guy problem with me, like how the characters never blink. Like they already blink very very rarely. That's all over in like Deadly Premonition 2. It's just like none of the characters blink. They
all got that lazy surgery, They're just like they're running with real dry eyes.
But it would be hilarious if they never made him blink, but every once in a while made people use eye drops.
Yeah. Oh, that would actually be amazing. Actually, you cut to York and he's just like, oh, what were you saying?
But like other than that though, like I'm really still digging it though. Like it's still very intriguing, very funny, like super interesting characters, and like finding out what you need to do. And like even though I'm like 3 or 4 hours into the game, I think clearly I have not really opened up this game yet, because like as far as like the way this game is like really different, like, and I could say this like right now because like it's been like 4 hours and I haven't really done anything. Like there's almost 0 to no combat in it.
Oh, that's
like
good.
I just got a gun, but like it's a tranquilizer gun, and like there's not really any enemies that I've gotten into whatsoever. So like how the first game like introduces you to like the enemy like straight away, and so you know what you're doing as far as that. But in this game, like there's like almost none so far. So like I haven't really used the gun for pretty much anything except like getting some UFO balloon things to pop and get money off of that. But like
that can only be a good thing for the frame rate,
Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. Like God, so like it's a budget game, but like if they didn't have any combat really, like
how long did it take them to make
this?
Yeah.
So
I'm willing to bet. He just said, you know what, this is the money that we're going to spend on it. Like that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
That's going to be what makes the game so bad it's good.
Yeah, I think that's like going off
And
of
he may have went a little bit too hard on it.
going off of what Swery said on Twitter and stuff, I think that's the impression I get too. But it sounds like they're gonna try and patch it. There was like some debate as to whether or not they were going to even consider it, but it sounds like they're gonna try and make the frame rate better. I have very specific questions. Is this set after Deadly Premonition, or do you?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Excellent.
It's the story. The story is a prequel about stuff that happened before Greenville, but like when you start that game, you're post Deadly Premonition.
Okay, cool. That's I figured they'd probably do some stuff like that. Do you have a different partner in this game? Or do you have a partner in this game, I should say, is better.
Okay, so just to clarify.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a prequel, but they just yank the character after those events just because?
I imagine there's like a narrative device as to why we're flashing back to this time in York's life.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah. What was the second question?
Do you have like a partner in this game?
You mean like a physical partner?
Yeah, like not just Zach.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
you had one you had a couple in Deadly Premonition 1. So yeah.
Yeah, so far yes.
Okay. And the last and most important question, in a similar sense to FK and the Coffee, have you had a Deadly Premonition?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. That's all I needed to know, my friend. FK and the Coffee will never not be hilarious to me. I was going to text you this week because I thought it was coming out next Tuesday. I was going to say we should play this game together. We should find a way to do it, but I think it might be also too difficult. But I'll try and catch up, and maybe we can play alongside each other and talk about it.
Okay.
Because I would like that. That game is very special because of what it is, but also because of you. So yeah, I'm happy this game exists. But
for sure.
Hopefully it picks up a little bit more in the back half or after this opening. Anything else you played?
Yeah, that was kind of the biggie. Nothing else really. More Shadow the Hedgehog. I got like 6 endings now. No, I got I think I have 4 or 5 endings, so I have 5 more to go before I can beat that game so I can move on.
How are you feeling about it?
I can do it. It's just a matter of just doing it. I've just been prolonging this so long. Because the goal here, Alex O'Neill, the goal here is to get through these Sonic games before the next Sonic game comes out. Which is obviously I will stream that entire thing. But like yeah, I have to get through all these other Sonic games before I can get to that. So I just have to beat Shadow the Hedgehog, and then Sonic the Hedgehog 06, and then like Generations and Lost World and Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2.
I would like to see you play Colors. I think that would be cool.
Colors is on the list.
Okay. Because you haven't played that one, right? So
no.
And that there might be like a good one in there that you haven't played yet, you know? Like I'm just hoping for you.
Yeah, it's just the stipulations are really like this is making this hard. Right? If I would let's go into it and just beat the game once, I'll be done by now. But it's like, hey, I'm playing it to like get like the equivalent of Supersonic or have all the 7 Chaos Emeralds type of thing. So that's my stipulation.
Yeah.
This is why I'm trapped right now.
Yeah. In your own personal hell.
By the way, Game recently went through all of Sonic Heroes.
Yeah.
Very cathartic for me. Because like Aaron was going through some hard stuff because he was playing the worst version on PS2.
Nice.
I played the GameCube version. And like there's a lot of stuff about like him complaining about how slippery that game is and like how like there's death traps all over the place.
And you're like, yep.
Yeah, because like the thing is like I couldn't get hit. Like in order to get myself to go, in order to get the Chaos Emeralds at the end of the stage, I couldn't get hit once in that game. So like, because I had to get a key, and then like I can't get hit, so that was doubly hard for me. But like, yeah, I got through that, so I'll never have to play that game. So that's
but now you can always go back to that playthrough, watch them, and be like, "Yep, I know." Yeah, I saw that pop up in my YouTube recommendations. I'm like, all right, bookmark this for later. This is gonna be a juicy one, clearly. Cool. I'm trying to think. I still feel like I'm forgetting like 10 games, but that's every week. So
Did you play more Bug Fables or whatever?
I did play more Bug Fables.
That still speaks to you? Or?
It does still speak to me. It's, I played another chapter of it. I got through. Oh no, I just got to like the dungeon. So I'm in like chapter 3. I think there's 7 chapters in that game. So I'm in the 3rd dungeon or whatever. I unlocked some new stuff, got a new ability and whatnot. It's cool. Like, I think weirdly, the Mario theming really does tie the Paper Mario games together really well. Like, it just like there's a level of familiar but unfamiliar, in it.
So there's would it be best to say there's a lot that they don't have to explain and that you enjoy about the Mario games, where that kind of brevity a newer type game can't afford?
Yeah, that's a really great way to put it, actually. Like, it has like its own lore and its own characters, and it has to kind of spend some more time building up those things. And some of those work, and I think some of them are actually really cool. And some of them kind of miss, and it's like, okay, well, that didn't hit. But Bug Fables does have a lot of that same kind of humor, where it's very playful, and it takes something that seems kind of serious, and it's just like, yeah, but who cares? Like, they make a joke about it, and it's fine. It's just that, like, because it's not Mario and Peach, and I'm like, okay, the queen, I don't remember her name, and like all the characters, like V is the bee girl, but I have trouble remembering the other 2 characters' names because they don't use them a lot, and they're pretty like hard to remember names. So like I have more trouble kind of like, I met you before but I don't know who you are, or stuff like that, and like the lore of this world of like, oh yeah, this war happened or whatever, stuff like that. It's good. It's not that it's bad. It's just like it's kind of like more on the serious side than I thought it would be. Like the actual lore of the world. So it doesn't like click and sink in as easily. I don't want to say like it's completely bouncing off of me, and I don't care, because I find myself a little invested. It's just when I'm looking for that kind of game, it's like, oh, this is a lot harder to invest myself in because it has more of that legwork to do. It's not as easy. It can't be as brief about it. But it's cool.
Would you say is more A Bug's Life, or would you say it's more Ant with a Z?
That's actually a really good question. Like, weirdly, that is like an incredibly good question for this. I would say it's probably more Ants. But like the throwaway humor on the side is a little bit more like how Pixar and A Bug's Life would be. But like there is like this, and to be fair, A Bug's Life has it as well, of like the grasshoppers, and they're all assholes. But it definitely is like there's like a war happening on the side that no one's really talking about type deal. It's more of that. And that is more Ants of like, oh yeah, we're gonna send all these people to fight the termites, and like they're getting murked. I remember the plots of these movies way better than I should also.
You see, you said it, and then I remember that was a thing in the first place.
Yeah,
like,
remember,
I knew
like,
they were fighting something.
He goes to the front lines.
The scenes of the other thing, and it's like, yeah, for that was like, damn.
Yeah, he sees like his friend get hurt, and he sees like another person's head in his hands, like weirdly super gory. So yeah, it definitely feels like that there is like, oh, in this case they're the Hornets. There's like a war with them happening on the side, and the kingdom needs to find these artifacts to basically end the war and end all fighting. So it definitely feels a little bit, and there seems to be some political intrigue happening, which is definitely more Ants territory than A Bug's Life territory. So yeah, the queen that you meet, there's cool stuff. Like one of the characters you meet is like a moth. And I like that they're gender neutral, and they only refer to themselves as they and we, which is cool. And they're from like 50 years ago, but they don't really know, and I don't know either, how they are still alive today. So when you take them back to meet the queen, they're like, oh, like I remember your mother, who is way cooler, way nicer, and way more benevolent than you are. And I don't really like the vibes of you. And then there's seeding, like maybe the current queen doesn't have like the best of intentions, and is maybe not a good guy, but is doing good things. Political intrigue plot, the works. So there's like cool stuff. Like that's very cool and very specific and very like magical fantasy. And it's just different, I guess, than what I was looking for at the time. And I'll hopefully come back and be able to get into it. But that was a good question. I did play more Bug Fables. I played a little bit of the Sword and Shield DLC, but not really much of it. Not enough to say anything. I played Min Min in Smash. That was probably the big thing that I forgot. And she's cool.
Yeah.
She's really weird. It's like one of the most different characters in that game, which is saying something with all the DLC characters. Not a character that I would like to play, probably, because I like probably more aerial characters just in general, and she is very ground-based. But definitely, like, when you find yourself in a one-on-one with Min Min, there is, like, a level of tension of, like, I gotta close this distance real quick, or you get yourself into some real trouble, which is cool.
Yeah, Min Min seems like someone who would be, like, when you do 8-player Smash, that's the character pick, because you can, like, take out multiple people at once.
Yeah, and keep a very safe distance the whole time, and like with a lot of surprises she can throw you real quick too. But yeah, that's it. I think I didn't necessarily pull news for this week because I feel like not a lot of stuff actually ended up happening. I was hoping that some big stuff would happen in the Devolver Direct today, or at least a couple of things I was looking forward to would get some stuff, but.
I don't know what you were expecting.
Yeah, I mean, they've had, like, they showed Carrion and a couple of cool things last year that were like announcements and stuff that I was into. This was more of like, let's just derail it, which honestly I respect the hell out of them for what they did.
Oh yeah, I love the show, but like it was this year I realized you know what, they do this every year. It's like you can only like announce like maybe like 5 games at most. So it's like, is it spilling up this other hour to hour and a half of like of this insanity, and it's it's entertaining, so I watch it every year.
Yeah, the actress that they get to kind of host this.
Oh, she is so good.
She's so good. She just has such a good comedic presence. Nintendo announced the Bakugan thing. Everybody got pissed about it, but what else is new? But
isn't there that Sony thing that happened this week?
No, nothing Sony happened this week. Ghost of Tsushima comes out next week.
No, not that. It's another. The PSN servers are down situation.
Oh, I didn't hear about anything. I was looking at their server status yesterday and it was fine, but
it's like a little different. I don't exactly remember precisely what, but it's something like people can't access the games for some reason.
Oh, I see. There was a rumor about it. But it doesn't seem like anything official has happened quite yet. But the Ubisoft, I don't know what they're Ubisoft Connect, is that what they're calling it, or
Sure.
Yeah, Ubisoft Play or whatever. That is tomorrow afternoon at 3:00 Eastern, I believe. So hopefully some stuff will come out of that. Far Cry 6 already leaked. I'm curious now, Bashin, are you done? You were out at Far Cry New Dawn, right? You skipped that one.
Yes, because I got 5. I only played like an hour or 2 of 5.
Yeah.
And it really didn't do anything. So I stopped.
Yeah.
So like I saw the leaked trailer for 6. And that game looks intense in like a very political way. So
yeah.
I was like, probably not.
Yeah, probably good actually. They just put out a clip of Giancarlo Esposito, who's the actor who plays the lead villain. It appears with a young man. I don't remember the young man's name, but he has a scar on his eye that is the same scar that Voss has on his eye. So people think that this could be a prequel story to Far Cry 3, setting up Voss and how he became Voss. So maybe that seems like something that you would do in the 6th entry of a franchise that's maybe going downhill. You know what I mean? Like, well, people like that guy. We can tell a story about him.
But there's no point of that if you're
I agree.
Boss can't be boss.
Yeah.
You show the origin of who he makes him go insane or whatever, but like, no, this is Joker all over again. Nah, get this out.
Yeah. And,
Nobody wants that. Who wants that?
You know what? A lot of people I saw multiple people saying like, "Oh yeah, the origin of Voss. I'd love to see that." And I was like, for the exact reasons you said, I'm like, I feel like it's not going to be what you think it is. And I think if they just make Giancarlo Esposito's character similar to Voss but worse or whatever, I don't know. I don't know if that works. But I don't know.
I can see it kind of working if Voss is more tangential.
Yeah, or you know what, Scott? I could see it working if this wasn't the 6th Far Cry game. And it's not even the 6th Far Cry game. This is the 8th Far Cry game. Or it's 9th Far Cry game because you have Blood Dragon, Primal, and New Dawn as like the interstitial $40 games in the middle. So this is just a whole lot of Far Cry, you know? So that's probably coming out this year, and we'll probably learn about it tomorrow. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and probably the Gods and Monsters game that actually looked pretty cool. So look forward to that. We don't have a reacts or a post show planned for that, but we are going to do one for the Xbox showcase, which is July 23rd, I think. It's 23rd or 24th or 25th. It's in that 3-day range.
How are you feeling about that?
I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. It's one of those things where I don't want to be too excited because I feel like there's a way to be very disappointed walking away from that. But I also expect that at the very least, in a similar way to the Sony show, like I'll have some stuff. I'll have one or two things walking out of that I'm probably going to be stoked about. And that's enough, you know? Like, I don't need more. I'm worried in the grander scheme of, like, are they going to successfully do it? Are they going to, like, one-up Sony? Because it feels like they have to in order to make any progress at this point. And that's
the problem. That's really the problem. Because I feel like I should get that out of my mind and just enjoy it for what it is. And just, like, be excited for just what that is. Because I feel like if I try to compare it too much, even though I guess I should, but whatever. I think I'm going to be disappointed if I do that.
Yeah, but I feel like were pretty disappointed from the Sony thing, which I don't think you ever got to talk about on the show. Also, I don't remember.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't. I don't know. I don't remember.
But you were on that week, but I don't know if we had that follow up conversation the week after to see how you felt about it. Oh no, that's right, because you would come in kind of midway through the show. So yeah, you walked away with not a lot you were excited about from that PS5 announcement. At least that's the last time we talked. That's how you felt.
No, I did talk about, because I remember saying I wanted Resident Evil 8.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I said Resident Evil 8 and Dark Souls were like the only thing that really spoke to me, and everything else didn't really do much for me.
Yeah. So do you think does that make it easier for Microsoft to have some stuff in there that you're stoked about? Or is it doesn't really change any factor?
I don't think it really changes anything, because like what's the nostalgia play that like Microsoft can do for me that will like get me like, oh fuck yeah, and it's like from their side, from their exclusives, like I don't really think they have anything that for me.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's like, this is supposed to be mostly first party, I'm assuming. So like, there's probably like a sprinkle of third party here and there.
Yeah.
So like, that would be cool to see. But like the thing about it is like, really is like, because like the thing, the war right now, as far as like which box you're gonna fucking get, really is just like the exclusivities. So like, unless they have a new IP that really, really speaks to me for some reason, for some weird reason, I don't know. I mean, like in a way where it's like I have to get the system instead of getting on my PC thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or because like the only old shit thing would be, for me personally, that Microsoft could have that could be an exclusive that I would actually really, really want. It's like a Ninja Gaiden game. The thing I've been asking for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, they could get that. They've done exclusive with that before, but like at this point, it's just like, what presence do they even have to like really get me going for something like that. Like like the last like real big Microsoft exclusive that I was really excited about was Scalebound, and that got canceled. So like
Hellblade 2 is probably on your radar, I imagine.
yeah, but that's like something that's like I'm going to play.
That's something. I'll put it this way: that's something that you would get if you had it.
Yeah.
He needs a reason to buy it now.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. Like the thing is, like you got to expect the unexpected, essentially, but that just puts them in the worst position possible. And it's a catch-22. Like there's kind of no way to walk into it with a good expectation because either they're too high, they're too low, and they're probably not going to be just right. So yeah,
it's basically kind of like how this what just happened with this Nintendo thing, where it's like Way 4 has got something to announce, and it's like people immediately thought it was like a Nintendo game. It's like, no, it's not a first party game. It's like, oh, maybe it's a Castlevania game. And when it turned out to be Bakugan, everyone says, what? And it's like, it'd be better if you didn't say anything type of thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was like, it's like,
which to be fair, Microsoft has been good about like not setting any expectations. Usually they're like 25 world premiere or stuff like that. They've not done any of that. You know, they're just like, hey, we're doing it. It's then we're gonna show you our future of Xbox, and that's that. I don't know. Like, I like Phil Spencer. I like Microsoft and how they like to present things. So at the end of the day, I am expecting to have a good time, and that's really it. And I'm hoping. My hope is that they do something to get me interested in Halo Infinite, and that they have a new first party game, like totally new, that is something that speaks to me. Those are the two things that I would like out of that. But I'm not gonna expect a Banjo-Kazooie remake. I'm not gonna expect this or that. I'm not gonna put my cards on any one thing, just so that way I don't get burned. Because I feel like a lot of what I wanted from the PlayStation show ended up happening, right? Like new Ratchet and Clank, which is a thing that I wanted, and then Demon's Souls remake, which was another thing I wanted. And then I also had some nice surprises. Like Kino was a really cool surprise for me. Of like, okay, I'm really into this. I'm into how this looks and feels. So at the very least, I had one surprise. I had other stuff like Bugsnax and all that, like a bunch of fun stuff from that. And the dinosaur team game, which spoke to me, which Jacob and Brian and I were texting each other about at the same time. Which is perfect. But yeah, so like if they can get a variety of like one new first party, one thing I was looking for or knew about already, but now I'm genuinely excited about, and then maybe one surprise in a 1 hour presentation or whatever, that's pretty good for me. So, and I think that's the good thing, and what I would say to you and everybody of like, don't go in expecting to love everything, you know, like just go in and look for one thing that really speaks to you. And I think as long as you have that one thing and you have a good time along the way, then you'll be fine.
I just hope it's presented decently.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, I think I'm just like done with the Xbox Insider way of presenting things.
Yes.
That's just like I feel that's a personal thing. I don't think that's really like the everybody. I think that works for people because you have to talk to developers and like people actually want to know about some of that stuff. But like, I just hate like the fake. That's rude to say. Fake,
over
but, like,
enthusiastic presentation. Yeah, I get you. Totally. I think I'm right there with you. Fingers crossed. I'm hopeful though. I think Microsoft puts on a good show when it's not inside Xbox. When it's their like A team, their Phil Spencer team. I think they put on a good show. That's it. That's the podcast. Thank you everybody for hanging out, for listening, for watching along. If you're watching on YouTube, remember you can be a part of the show by sending your questions. No questions this week, but you can send them to mailsack@irrationalpassage.com's email address. Leave us a voicemail at 404-590-1337 is the phone number. Standard long distance fees do apply. Or you can tweet your questions at irrationalpod with the hashtag IPQ. For other stuff, follow the website and the show on Twitter at irrationalpod. Follow myself and Nobishin on Twitter. I'm alfighter27. Nobishin is NABESHIN186 respectively. Check out our video stuff over on Twitch and YouTube. Just look for Irrational Passions, all one word. Rate and review us wherever you give us a listen, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google Play, Stitcher, wherever. If you throw us a 5-star or a 10 out of 10 or whatever they use. I assume everyone uses 5 stars. That would help us a great deal, and I would appreciate it. And for everything else, irrationalpassions.com. Check out Trip to Nintendo Land. Check out RPG University. New episode of that coming out this Thursday. Scott White has been doing a new thing when the Thursday that RPGU posts, so every other Thursday, he will do a live stream of that game that night, the night the episode posts. So 2 weeks ago, he had Cam Hawkins on to talk about Pokemon Silver and Gold, and then he played a Pokemon Silver randomizer on stream that night. So it's a cool thing, and if you're a fan of RPG University, of which there are a lot of fans of RPG University, so if you've not listened to it, you should get on that. You should go check it out. It's over on twitch.tv/Irrational Passions. So, we've reached the end of the show, fellas. You know what time it is. It's time for bets. This week's bet, this is a different one. But hopefully it comes up something. This time next week, what will be the score average for user reviews on Metacritic for Deadly Premonition 2? Now, I don't typically like user reviews just because they're usually pretty short and petty. But you know what? You got to have an outlet for your pettiness sometimes. Just make it healthy. But I feel like Deadly Premonition is one of those games where the user review and the critical review might be wildly different. So I'm going to go look up what it is now, and then we'll figure out this time next week what it'll be. The Metascore is 57. Fair.
Uh-huh.
The user score is 6.2. Not bad.
Uh-huh.
Relatively close. So with that in mind, it has 15 ratings currently. This time next week, what will the user review Metascore be? Nabishin.
6.0.
Okay. Tony?
7.4.
Ooh. Scott?
I'm gonna go with a 7.
I wrote 7.3. We're all a very
Nice score, dude.
Yeah, we're all a very good agreement here.
What's Deadly Premonition
Ooh,
original?
That's a good
The
question.
360 version. What's that?
Yeah, what's the user score for that one?
Yeah, it's the 360 version. So Metascore is 68, user score 8.3. This is exactly what I wanted.
Okay.
So yeah, that is with 361 ratings. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's a game reviewed by the people who definitely like it.
Yeah, it's a game reviewed by the people. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, but last week's bet, also review based. What rating out of 5 stars will Pokemon Cafe Mix have on the App Store this time next week? I'm curious what we had said. So I said 2.2. Scott said 5. I forgot you'd said that, Scott. Tony said 0. And Nabishin said 3.2. So let's find it. Let's say Pokemon Cafe Mix. Have any of you guys played this?
No.
All right. We don't need to get sassy with it, all right?
I guess I have homework this week.
I cannot
Was you curious?
I cannot believe this. 4.8 is the score. So Scott wins.
I'm a little surprised you guys went so low. Like,
I
these
thought it
things
would be-
always have inflated ratings.
I don't know. I thought it would just not be a great game, I guess.
It doesn't matter. They always have inflated ratings.
I don't know how review scores are.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, user reviews are very emotional based, I would say. But that's good.
Yeah, generally, it's the people who don't like it don't bother to leave a review, and people who like it, it doesn't matter what kind of problems they have, just hit that 5 stars.
Unless that person likes it a lot, but doesn't like one part about it, in which case they will leave you that 1-star review and let you know about it.
Yep, that's true.
That brings our team totals. I have 3 points. I'm now in last place. Nabishan has 7 points. Scott has 4 points. And Tony has 6. Well, Scott, you won the bet. I don't know if you have any final thoughts, final word, final message you want to give to the people. Anything you want to reiterate or disagree with or just want to say?
Let me out.
Oh, lost to deaf ears, unfortunately. That's the show, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out, willingly or unwillingly. We love you all very much. Thank you for being there, for listening for 10 years, and still coming around to see how we're doing and hear about us talk about video games. Can't tell you how much it means to me. It means more than the world. And it means more than the world to be able to do this with you three every week, even if I'm shitty and can't record some weeks. But yeah, I love you boys. In legitimacy, all the way around. Thank you to Danny Wiesner for our opening music of 2-Player Co-op and our closing music of The World is Saved. Check out DannyWiesner.bandcamp.com. Check out his music. Super good. 2-Player Co-op on iTunes and your music buying platforms of choice. But that's it. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Nabishin, for joining me as always. I've been Alex O'Neill. Play your games. Stay rational. We will talk to you all next week.
Titles?
Title. I just looked at the titles too.
I barely did any.
We got 10-year anniversary, and is it more A Bug's Life or Ants?
Which is just such a good... Man, how many of those conversations did we all have in elementary school? Am I right?
0.
0.
I watched Ants constantly, and I maybe seen Bugs Life like because Ants was just on TV like all the fucking time.
I had the same experience, dude. Like straight up, I've seen Ants like 10 times maybe. I've seen Bugs Life twice, maybe. But A Bug's Life, and this is true of like all Pixar movies, it was one of the ones where like, well, if you got a TV day in elementary school, like we're watching a Pixar movie. So we're watching until Finding Nemo came out. It was A Bug's Life every time, and then once Finding Nemo came out, I probably saw that movie 18 times throughout my elementary and middle school career. Across 6 years, they play that movie fucking so much, and I hate it now.
Dude, like you just made me like reminisce about this because it's like I don't think I've ever really seen that movie in its entirety. Because like it was like it was like the Frozen of the time. Of like everybody talked about it, everybody's seen it, and I guess I was a hater at the time, and I was like, I guess I'll never see this movie then. So like I don't know, like I always seen it in parts. I've seen the ending, I've seen the beginning, but I've never seen like the whole thing of it. Never seen Finding Dory, which I've
never seen that either. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine, but but me and my roommate still do. I'm like a piranha to each other, which is like the only good part of Finding Nemo. But it's very good. I like, is it more of Bug's Life or Ants? Fuck the 10-year anniversary. We're asking the real questions. Tony, do you want to say the episode number? And Nabishin, do you want to say the title?
Sure.
It is 473.
You're listening to the Irrational Passions Podcast, episode 473.
Is it more A Bug's Life or Ants? With a Z.
Or both. What thing is both? We must find out. Also, one other thing, just because I thought of you, Tony, when I saw this, and then I'll actually end the podcast. Alex Van Aken, bless his heart, he gets all these spam emails from like advertisers that are trying to like, I guess like advertise on OKBeast or like essentially take advantage of them. And somebody emailed him, and he posted a screenshot of the email on Twitter. And I'm just going to read this here. We're an interactive podcasting platform where you can host a live show to engage your audience while monetizing your streams. Alex Van Aken, host of OKBeast Podcast. Great podcast. You should listen to it. I really enjoyed listening to your podcast, The Irrational Podcast Podcast. Nice. The Irrational Podcasts Podcast. And would love to discuss potential partnership with you. And I thought of you because they refer to it as the Irrational Podcast, not Irrational Podcast. So I hope that validated how you feel about that. There is always a the in the front. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. We love you. Good night. Bye.